Commander Vextel stood in the control room of his massive warship and watched the stars through the wide windows. He had conquered many worlds in his long life, and today felt like any other day. The Zephyrian Empire controlled 17 star systems, and soon there would be 18. His thick purple skin showed the scars of many battles, and his 4 eyes glowed with the confidence of someone who had never truly lost a fight. The communication panel made a loud beeping sound, and Vextel walked over to answer it. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to Captain Kurdan, one of his best scout commanders. But something was wrong with Kurdan's face. His usual calm expression was gone, and instead he looked scared and confused. "High Command, this is Captain Kurdan calling from the Void Piercer," the captain said quickly. His voice shook as he spoke. "We have encountered the species called humans from the 3rd planet of the Sol system. Commander, you must listen to me carefully. Avoid all contact with humans at any cost." Vextel felt surprised by these words. In all his years of military service, he had never heard any of his captains sound so frightened. "Explain yourself, Captain. What happened during your mission?" Kurdan took a deep breath before continuing. "We were following standard piracy protocols near their trade routes. Our intelligence reports said they were a young species with basic technology. We found a cargo ship called the New Horizon and expected an easy raid. The ship was small and carried only simple weapons." The captain paused and looked away from the screen for a moment. When he looked back, his expression was even more troubled. The humans were commanded by someone called Jake Morrison and his second officer, Lisa Adams. When we ordered them to surrender their cargo, they refused. This was not unusual, so we prepared to board their ship. Vextel nodded. This sounded like a normal military operation so far. Many species tried to resist at first before accepting the reality of their situation. But Commander Kurdan continued, "These humans did something I have never seen before. They knew they could not win against our superior weapons and numbers. They knew their ship would be destroyed, but they did not care about this knowledge. Instead of surrendering, they fought back with everything they had." The captain's hands moved nervously as he spoke. Jake Morrison sent a message to all nearby human ships, telling them exactly where we were and what we were doing. Then he and his crew turned their small cargo ship into a weapon. They flew directly at our main attack vessel and crashed into our engine section. Vextel felt confused by this story. The humans committed suicide rather than surrender. This seems foolish but not particularly dangerous. "No, Commander, you do not understand," Kurdan said urgently. Lisa Adams had already escaped in a small rescue pod before the crash. She recorded everything that happened and sent the information to their military forces. But that is not the worst part. The screen flickered slightly as the transmission continued. Before Jake Morrison died in the crash, he sent another message. He said that humans would remember what we did here. He said they would hunt us down no matter how long it took or how far we ran. He said his people never forget, and they never forgive. Vextel laughed at these words. "Captain, you are letting the desperate words of a dying enemy affect your judgment. Many species make threats when they are about to be defeated. This means nothing." But Kurdan shook his head quickly. "Commander, within hours of the incident, 12 human warships arrived at our location. We had already taken the cargo and were preparing to leave the system. These ships were smaller than ours and carried weaker weapons, but they attacked us immediately without any attempt to negotiate." The captain's voice became quieter as he continued. "They did not fight like any enemy I have ever faced. When one of their ships was badly damaged, the crew did not retreat to safety. Instead, they used their damaged ship as a missile and flew it into one of our cruisers. When we destroyed another human ship, the survivors floated in space and continued shooting at us with hand weapons until they died." Vextel felt the first small touch of unease. This behavior did sound unusual, But surely it was just the desperate actions of an inferior species. The human commander was someone called Nicole Chen, Curtin went on. When I tried to contact her to discuss surrender terms, she refused to even speak with me. Her only message was that the Zephyrian Empire had made a terrible mistake by attacking human civilians. She said her people would make sure we paid for what we had done. The captain looked directly at Vextel through the screen. Commander, we had to retreat from the battle. Our ships were stronger, and our weapons were better, but the humans fought like they were already dead. They cared nothing for their own safety, and everything for hurting us. In the end, we lost 3 vessels, and they destroyed all of theirs. But somehow we felt like we had been defeated. Vextel considered these words carefully. Perhaps these humans were simply more aggressive than most species, but this did not make them truly dangerous to the mighty Zephyrian Empire. Captain Curtin, you have been in space too long, and this encounter has affected your thinking, Vextel said firmly. Return to base immediately for rest and medical evaluation. I will personally investigate these humans and show you that they are no different from any other species we have conquered. The transmission ended, and Vextel stood alone in his control room. He had made his decision, and nothing would change his mind. Soon he would lead a proper military force to the Sol system, and these humans would learn to respect Zephyrian power. How dangerous could they really be? 3 months passed before Admiral Krelvin led his battle group into the Sol system aboard the massive flagship Eternal Dominion. The ship was twice the size of any human vessel and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Krelvin had served under Commander Vextel for many years and shared his confidence that these humans would quickly submit to superior Zephyrian technology. The first planet they approached was a red world the humans called Mars. Long range sensors detected a research station on the surface, with perhaps 200 humans working inside. This seemed like the perfect place to demonstrate Zephyrian power and convince the humans to surrender without a costly war. Dr. Amanda Parker commanded the research station and had been expecting something like this for weeks. Ever since the incident with Captain Morrison and the New Horizon, every human outpost had been placed on high alert. When her sensors detected the alien ships approaching, she immediately activated the emergency protocols that had been developed by human military planners. Ryan, get over here and look at this, she called to Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Brooks, who served as the station's security chief. Brooks was a calm man who had served in several human conflicts before taking this assignment. He looked at the sensor readings and nodded grimly. 15 ships, all much larger than anything in our fleet, he said quietly. They're definitely not here for a friendly visit. Dr. Parker activated the communication system that would send everything. They recorded directly back to Earth. If these aliens were hostile, human commanders needed to know exactly what they were dealing with. She also began the evacuation procedures that would get non-essential personnel to the underground shelters. Admiral Krelvin opened a communication channel to the research station. His translator converted his words into human language, though his tone made his intentions clear even without translation. Attention, human facility. I am Admiral Krelvin of the Zephyrian Empire. You will immediately surrender your outpost and submit to our authority. Resistance will result in the complete destruction of your installation. Dr. Parker looked at Lieutenant Colonel Brooks, who gave her a small nod. They had both known this moment might come, and they had prepared for it. This is Dr. Amanda Parker, commander of Mars Research Station 7. We do not recognize your authority, and we will not surrender. If you wish to take this facility, you will have to fight for it. Admiral Krelvin felt surprised by this response. Most species immediately began negotiating for better surrender terms when faced with overwhelming force. Dr. Parker, you have 100 humans against 15 military vessels. Surely you can see that resistance is impossible. Perhaps, Dr. Parker replied calmly. But we are human, and humans do not surrender to bullies and invaders. You may destroy us, but you will pay a price for it. The Admiral decided to demonstrate his power by destroying one of the station's outer buildings. The particle beam from his flagship tore through the structure easily, turning metal and stone into glowing vapor. He expected this show of force to convince the humans to reconsider their position. Instead, Dr. Parker's voice came back over the communication channel with the same calm tone as before. "Thank you for showing us what your weapons can do. We have recorded everything and transmitted it to Earth. Now our military knows exactly how to protect against your attacks." Lieutenant Colonel Brooks had been busy while the Admiral was making his threats. The research station had been built with hidden defensive systems that few people knew about. Concealed railgun emplacements rose from underground positions and missile launchers emerged from what had appeared to be storage buildings. "Fire at will," Brooks ordered, and suddenly the space around Mars lit up with human weapons. The railguns hurled metal slugs at incredible speeds, while missiles streaked toward the Zephyrian ships. The aliens had not expected any resistance from what they thought was a simple research facility. Admiral Krelvin watched in shock as his escort vessels came under attack. The human weapons were primitive compared to Zephyrian technology, but they were used with remarkable skill and determination. More importantly, the humans seemed to know exactly where to aim their shots for maximum damage. "How are they targeting our weak points so precisely?" demanded Captain Tischel, commander of the cruiser Dark Star. "Their sensors should not be able to penetrate our shields." Before Krelvin could answer, his communication officer reported new contacts approaching from deeper in the system. "Admiral, we have human reinforcements arriving. 2 ships, destroyer class." The human ships were commanded by Captain Nicole Chen aboard the Relentless and Captain Steve Miller on the Defiant. Both vessels were much smaller than the Zephyrian cruisers, but they attacked immediately, without any hesitation or fear. Captain Chen had studied the recordings from Captain Morrison's final battle and learned from his sacrifice. She knew her ships could not win a direct confrontation, but they could make the aliens pay heavily for their aggression. Her tactical plan was simple but effective. "Steve, take the Defiant and hit their left flank," she transmitted to Captain Miller. "I'll draw their main fire and give you an opening to target their command ship." The 2 human destroyers split apart and approached the Zephyrian fleet from different angles. Their weapons were weaker, but their ships were faster and more maneuverable than the alien vessels. They darted between the larger ships like angry insects, striking quickly and then moving before the aliens could respond effectively. Captain Miller found himself facing 3 Zephyrian cruisers that had moved to cut off his escape route. His ship was already badly damaged from multiple hits, and his crew was reporting critical failures in several systems. Any reasonable commander would have ordered a retreat at this point. Instead, Captain Miller made a decision that would be remembered throughout human space for generations. "All hands, this is the captain. We cannot escape, and we cannot win, but we can make sure these aliens remember the price of attacking humans. Engine room, give me everything you have." The Defiant turned directly toward the largest cruiser and accelerated to maximum speed. Captain Miller aimed his ship like a missile and crashed into the alien vessel at full velocity. Both ships exploded in a brilliant flash that could be seen from the surface of Mars. Admiral Krelvin stared at the expanding cloud of debris where 2 ships had just been. In all his years of military service, he had never seen anything like Captain Miller's final attack. The humans had just used one of their own ships as a weapon, sacrificing themselves to damage his fleet. Captain Chen used the confusion caused by Miller's sacrifice to launch her own final attack. The Relentless was also heavily damaged, but she managed to get close enough to the Zephyrian flagship to launch all her remaining missiles at point-blank range. The explosions caused serious damage to the Eternal Dominion's main engines, with his flagship crippled and 2 escort vessels destroyed. Admiral Krelvin finally ordered a retreat, but as his ships limped away from Mars, he noticed something that filled him with a strange feeling of dread. The humans were already sending recovery ships to collect debris from the destroyed Zephyrian vessels. Dr. Parker's final transmission followed them as they fled the system. Admiral Krelevin, you came here to conquer us, but instead you have given us a gift. We now have samples of your technology, and we will learn from them. When we meet again, we will be better prepared. Admiral Krelevin realized that the humans had turned their defeat into a victory by gathering intelligence about Zephyrian capabilities. These were not normal enemies who could be easily conquered through superior force. These humans were something much more dangerous. 6 months after the battle at Mars, General Marcus Sullivan stood in the command center of the Human Defense Coalition and studied the holographic display showing Zephyrian fleet movements throughout known space. The aliens had retreated from human territory after their defeat. But Sullivan knew this was only the beginning of a much longer conflict. The wreckage recovered from Mars had given human scientists their first real look at advanced alien technology. Chief Engineer Patricia Williams had led the research team that reverse-engineered Zephyrian shield generators and weapon systems, working alongside Intelligence Director Kevin Martinez. They had developed countermeasures that would give human forces a fighting chance in future battles. General, we have confirmation that the Zephyrians have established a supply base in the Kepler system, reported Captain Amy Rodriguez as she entered the command center. Rodriguez commanded the stealth ship Ghostwalker, one of the new vessels, built using hybrid human and alien technology. General Sullivan turned from the display to face her. Rodriguez was a small woman with sharp eyes who had earned her reputation during the asteroid mining conflicts before the alien invasion. Her crew trusted her completely and she had never failed to complete a mission. How many ships are we looking at? Sullivan asked. Our reconnaissance shows 12 vessels, including 2 heavy cruisers, Rodriguez replied. They're using the base to resupply raiding parties that have been attacking our outer colonies. Sullivan nodded grimly. The Zephyrians had changed their tactics after the Mars battle, avoiding direct confrontation with human military forces. Instead, they were launching hit-and-run attacks against civilian targets, hoping to force humanity to surrender through terror. Patricia, how soon can we have the new weapons ready? Sullivan asked Chief Engineer Williams. Williams looked up from her technical reports. The plasma torpedo systems are ready for field testing. General Tony Davis has been working with my team to integrate them with existing human ships. We should be able to retrofit the Ghostwalker within 48 hours. Tony Davis was Rodriguez's weapons specialist, a former artillery officer who had adapted quickly to fighting in space. His innovative approach to combining human and alien technology had already proven effective in several small engagements. Excellent, Sullivan said. Amy, take the Ghostwalker and eliminate that supply base. But remember, this is not just about destroying their ships. We need to send a message that attacking human civilians will have consequences. Rodriguez smiled coldly. Understood, General. We'll make sure they remember this lesson. 3 days later, the Ghostwalker approached the Zephyrian supply base, using its new stealth systems. The human ship was invisible to alien sensors, allowing Rodriguez and her crew to study their target carefully before attacking. Navigation specialist Helen Johnson had plotted an approach course that would bring them within range of all 12 enemy vessels. Tony, are the new torpedoes ready? Rodriguez asked her weapons officer. Davis checked his control panel and nodded. All systems green, Captain. The plasma warheads should cut right through their shield generators. The Ghostwalker's first attack destroyed 3 Zephyrian ships before the aliens even knew they were under attack. The new plasma torpedoes burned through enemy shields like they were made of paper, and the explosions lit up space around the supply base. But Rodriguez was not content with a simple hit-and-run attack. She wanted to capture alien prisoners who could provide intelligence about Zephyrian military plans. Helen, bring us alongside that damaged cruiser. Tony, Prepare boarding pods. The boarding operation was led by Sergeant Carl Wilson, a veteran of the Earth's security forces who had volunteered for the most dangerous assignments. Wilson and his team used cutting tools to break through the alien ship's hull and fought their way to the command section. The Zephyrian crew tried to resist, but they were not prepared for close combat with human soldiers. Wilson's team moved through the ship methodically, using tactics developed during urban warfare on Earth. Within an hour, they had captured the alien captain and several officers. Captain Zexter of the supply cruiser Void Hunter was the first Zephorian officer to be taken alive by human forces. When he was brought aboard the Ghost Walker, he expected to be tortured or executed immediately. Instead, he found himself facing Dr. Ashley Turner, a xenobiologist who spoke his language perfectly. "Captain Zexter, I am Dr. Turner," she said, politely. "I would like to ask you some questions about your military structure and strategic objectives." Zexter was confused by this approach. In Zephyrian culture, captured enemies were usually killed quickly or enslaved. "I will tell you nothing, human. Kill me now and save us both time." Dr. Turner smiled and shook her head. "Captain, we are not going to harm you. We are going to study you. We want to understand how your people think and fight so we can defeat you more effectively in future battles." Over the following weeks, Zexter discovered that the humans were completely serious about this approach. Dr. Turner and her colleague Dr. Craig Anderson examined every aspect of Zephyrian biology and technology. They tested alien equipment, analyzed alien food, and even studied alien sleeping patterns. What disturbed Zexter most was how systematically the humans approached this research. They did not just want to win battles against the Zephorian Empire. They wanted to understand their enemies so completely that victory would become inevitable. Meanwhile, Colonel Derek Thompson was leading special operations missions against Zephyrian outposts throughout the region. Thompson commanded a team of elite soldiers, including demolitions expert Carla Bennett and sniper Nathan Phillips. Their mission was to capture alien technology and personnel while denying the enemy safe havens. Thompson's team had developed tactics specifically designed to fight Zephyrian ground forces. They had studied recordings of alien combat behavior and identified weaknesses in their equipment and training. Human soldiers were smaller and physically weaker than Zephyrians, but they were more adaptable and creative in their approach to warfare. "Nathan, do you have a clear shot at their commander?" Thompson asked, as his team surrounded a Zephyrian communications outpost on a remote moon. Phillips adjusted his rifle scope and studied the target. "Confirmed, Colonel. Range is 800 meters, and I have minimal wind drift. Take the shot, but aim to disable, not kill. We need him alive for questioning." The sniper's bullet struck the Zephyrian commander in the shoulder, dropping him without causing fatal damage. Carla Bennett's demolition charges destroyed the communication equipment, while Thompson's soldiers captured the surviving aliens. Back on Earth, General Sullivan received regular reports about these operations. Each successful mission provided more intelligence about Zephyrian capabilities and weaknesses. Human scientists and military planners used this information to develop new weapons and tactics. Admiral Krelvin, still recovering from his injuries sustained at Mars, watched helplessly as human forces struck at Zephyrian targets throughout the region. Every attack was precisely planned and executed with ruthless efficiency. The humans seemed to know exactly where to find Zephyrian bases and how to exploit their defenses. "High Command, we must negotiate a ceasefire," Krelvon transmitted to Commander Vextel. "These humans are not like any enemy we have faced before. They learn from every encounter and use that knowledge against us." But Vextel refused to consider retreat. "Admiral, we are the Zephyrian Empire. We do not negotiate with inferior species. Increase your attacks and show these humans the true power of our military." The response from General Sullivan came within hours of Vextel's message. It was broadcast on all Zephyrian communication frequencies and translate it into their language. Commander Vextel, you started this war by attacking innocent human civilians. Now you will face the consequences of that decision. There will be no negotiation and no ceasefire. We will hunt you across the galaxy until justice is served. For the first time in his long military career, Commander Vextel felt genuine fear. 2 years into the war, Commander Vextel stood in his command chamber and stared at reports that seemed impossible to believe. The Zephyrian Empire, which had conquered 17 star systems without serious resistance, was losing territory to a species they had initially dismissed as primitive. What should have been a simple conquest had become a nightmare of human persistence and innovation. The humans had not only learned to use Zephyrian technology, but had improved it beyond what the original designers thought possible. Dr. Benjamin Foster led the Human Technology Integration Project from a secret research facility near Jupiter, working with engineer Monica Lewis. He had created weapons that combined human creativity with alien science in ways that terrified Zephyrian military planners. Monica, show me the test results for the new plasma kinetic cannons, Foster said, as he reviewed the latest weapon specifications. The hybrid cannons used Zephyrian energy principles, but fired projectiles designed with human engineering concepts. Lewis pulled up the data on her computer screen. The penetration power is 3 times greater than standard Zephyrian weapons. Ben, the projectiles maintain their energy much longer and can punch through multiple layers of armor plating. Foster nodded with satisfaction. These weapons would give human ships a significant advantage in the next phase of the war. But more importantly, they demonstrated humanity's ability to take alien technology and make it better through human innovation and determination. Captain Lucas Gray commanded the newly constructed battleship Vengeance, the most powerful vessel in the human fleet. His ship incorporated the best human and Zephyrian technology, creating a hybrid design that was faster and more heavily armed than anything the aliens had ever seen. Gray's crew included Tactical Officer Commander Rebecca Stone and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Gregory Walsh. Rebecca, what's our target for today? Gray asked as he reviewed the mission briefings in his ready room aboard the Vengeance. Commander. Stone activated the holographic display, showing their destination. We're going after the Zephyrian fleet base at Proxima 7, Captain. Intelligence reports indicate they have 15 ships stationed there, including their newest battlecruiser. Gray studied the tactical information carefully. The base was deep in Zephyrian space, far from any human colonies. This would be the first major human offensive operation in enemy territory, and it would send a clear message that nowhere was safe for the alien invaders. Dr. Walsh, are the medical facilities ready for combat casualties? Gray asked. The doctor checked his preparation list. All surgical bays are equipped and staffed, Captain. We've also prepared holding areas for Zephyrian prisoners in case we capture any survivors. The Vengeance led a fleet of 12 human ships toward Proxima 7, traveling through hyperspace using navigation technology reverse-engineered from captured alien vessels. The human fleet was smaller than the Zephyrian force they were attacking, but every ship had been upgraded with hybrid weapons and defenses, while Captain Gray was preparing for his assault. Captain Sandra Mitchell commanded the reconnaissance vessel tracker on a very different kind of mission. Mitchell had been following a single Zephyrian scout ship for 3 months, tracking it across multiple star systems as it gathered intelligence about human activities. Mitchell was a patient woman who understood that sometimes the most important victories came from persistence rather than firepower. Her crew had become experts at long-range surveillance, using modified sensors to monitor alien communications without being detected. Captain, the Zephyrian ship is changing course again, reported her navigation officer, Lieutenant Paul Rogers. They're heading toward the Vega system. Mitchell studied the star charts on her command screen. That's where Admiral Chen's supply convoy is scheduled to pass through next week. The aliens are planning an ambush. This was exactly the kind of intelligence breakthrough that Mitchell had been waiting for. She immediately transmitted a warning to Admiral Chen while continuing to track the alien scout ship. But Mitchell had a larger plan in mind than just preventing one ambush. Paul, plot an intercept course that will bring us within weapons range after they complete their surveillance, Mitchell ordered. I want to capture that ship and its crew intact. The ambush of the Zephyrian scout ship went perfectly. Mitchell's crew used ion cannons to disable the alien vessel without destroying it, then boarded the ship using techniques developed by Colonel Thompson's Special Forces teams. The captured aliens provided valuable intelligence about Zephyrian fleet movements and strategic plans. Back on Earth, Lieutenant Commander Frank Turner worked with cyber warfare specialist Dr. Julia Martinez to infiltrate Zephyrian communication networks. Turner had been a computer programmer before the war, while Martinez specialized in alien computer systems. Julia, I think I found a way into their main command network, Turner said, as he studied the alien computer codes they had captured. If we can plant a virus in their system, we might be able to turn their own ships against them. Dr. Martinez examined Turner's work and smiled. Frank, this is brilliant. We're not just breaking into their computers, we're rewriting their software to serve our purposes. The cyber attack launched by Turner and Martinez was more successful than anyone had hoped. Zephyrian ships throughout the Empire suddenly found their navigation systems providing false information, while their weapons targeting computers began malfunctioning at critical moments. But the humans were fighting more than just a military war. Admiral Janet Rogers served as the Coalition's legal warfare specialist, working with prosecutor Victor Thompson to document every Zephyrian war crime for future tribunals. Rogers had been a military lawyer before the alien invasion and understood that lasting peace required justice as well as victory. Victor, we need more evidence about the attacks on civilian colonies, Rogers said as she reviewed the legal case files. The survivors' testimony is important, but we need physical evidence that will hold up in an interstellar court. Thompson nodded grimly. I've been working with the Special Forces teams to collect that evidence. Janet, every Zephyrian base we capture provides more documentation of their crimes against humanity. The systematic approach to justice worried Zephyrian leaders more than human military victories. They realized that the humans were not just trying to win a war, but were building a case that would justify their actions to other alien species throughout the galaxy. Commander Vextel received increasingly desperate reports from his remaining fleet commanders. Admiral Krelvin reported that human forces had destroyed 3 more supply bases and captured 24 Zephyrian officers for interrogation. Captain Teichel warned that human ships were now appearing in systems that should have been completely secure. High Command, we must consider the possibility that we cannot defeat these humans through conventional warfare, Krelvin transmitted during an emergency military conference. They adapt to our tactics faster than we can develop new ones. Vex refused to accept the possibility of defeat. Admiral, we still have superior numbers and technology. Order all fleet commanders to concentrate their forces for a massive attack on the human home system. But even as Vextel planned his final offensive, human forces were already moving to strike at the heart of the Zephyrian Empire. Captain Gray's battleship Vengeance had successfully destroyed the fleet base at Proxima 7 and was now leading a task force toward the Zephyrian homeworlds. The humans had learned that their enemies could be defeated not through superior technology, but through superior determination. Every battle taught them something new about alien weaknesses, and they used that knowledge to become more effective in the next encounter. Dr. Voster's research team had developed quantum disruption mines that could tear apart Zephyrian ships at the molecular level. Captain Mitchell's reconnaissance operations had mapped every major alien base and supply route. Turner and Martinez's cyber warfare had crippled alien communication networks throughout the Empire. Most importantly, the humans had demonstrated something that no other species in the galaxy possessed. They never forgot an injury and they never stopped hunting those who had wronged them. The Zephyrian Empire was learning that attacking humanity had consequences that would follow them across the stars. 5 years after the first attack on human space, the purple and gold flags of the Zephyrian Empire no longer flew over any world. The great empire that had conquered 17 star systems lay in ruins, its fleets destroyed and its leaders captured or dead. On the former capital world of Zephyr Prime, human administrators worked to rebuild a civilization that had been torn apart by its own aggression. Governor Angela Davis stood in what had once been the Zephyrian High Command Center, now converted into the headquarters for the Occupation Authority. Davis had been a colonial administrator before the war and understood the delicate work of rebuilding a society. Her deputy, Colonel Raymond Clark, handled security matters with the firm but fair approach that had become the hallmark of human governance. Angela, the food distribution is ahead of schedule in the northern continent, Clark reported as he reviewed the daily status reports. The Zephorian civilians are cooperating fully with the reconstruction efforts. Davis nodded with satisfaction. The human occupation had surprised everyone, including many humans, by focusing on rebuilding rather than revenge. After capturing the Zephyrian home worlds, human forces had immediately begun providing medical care, food distribution, and educational programs for the alien population. Dr. Samantha Hughes served as Director of Interspecies Relations and had the difficult job of working with former Zephyrian leaders to establish new governmental structures. She worked closely with former Admiral Krelvin, who had agreed to help with the transition in exchange for avoiding a war crimes trial. Admiral, the reconciliation programs are showing good results, Hughes said during their weekly meeting. Former Zephyrian soldiers are adapting well to civilian life, and many are volunteering to help with reconstruction work. Krelvin looked tired but hopeful. In the years since his defeat at Mars, he had learned to respect human determination and fairness. Dr. Hughes, I must ask you something that has troubled me for months. Why are your people treating us so well, after everything we did? Hughes considered the question carefully before answering. Admiral, we believe that lasting peace requires justice, not revenge. Your empire committed terrible crimes, but your people deserve a chance to build something better. This approach confused many alien observers throughout the galaxy. Other species expected the humans to either enslave or exterminate their defeated enemies. Instead, human forces were as thorough in peace as they had been in war, working systematically to address the root causes of Zephyrian aggression. Captain Eric Johnson commanded the patrol vessel Eternal Watch, one of dozens of human ships that maintained security throughout former Zephyrian space. Johnson's crew included sensor specialist Laura Thompson and communications officer Alex Parker. Their mission was to ensure that no hidden Zephyrian military forces remained active. Laura, are you picking up any unusual signals from the asteroid belt? Johnson asked as they conducted a routine patrol of the outer system. Thompson checked her instruments carefully. Negative, Captain. All communications traffic appears to be civilian merchant vessels and mining operations. The systematic disarmament of Zephyrian military forces had taken 2 years to complete. Human teams had cataloged every weapon, every ship, and every piece of military equipment in the former empire. Nothing was overlooked, and nothing was allowed to remain hidden. But the true test of human resolve came when a new alien species made contact with Earth. The hegemony of Tulkar had been monitoring the conflict between humans and Zephyrians from a safe distance, when the war ended with complete human victory. The Tulkar leaders decided to test these newcomers to galactic politics. Ambassador Warren Mitchell received the Tulkar ultimatum in his office at the United Nations building in New York. Mitchell had been Earth's first ambassador to alien species, and had developed protocols for interstellar diplomacy during the Reconstruction period. The Tulkar message was direct and threatening. Species human, you will provide tribute of rare metals and technological data to the hegemony of Tulkar. Failure to comply will result in military action against your worlds. Mitchell read the message twice before wording it to military headquarters. Within hours, Admiral Christopher Lewis was preparing the first interstellar fleet for immediate deployment. Lewis commanded the largest human military force ever assembled, including ships from throughout human space. "Admiral, what's our response to this ultimatum?" asked Captain Diana Foster, Lewis's chief of staff. Lewis looked at the Tulkar message and smiled coldly. "Captain, prepare a fleet-wide transmission on all frequencies. I want every species in the galaxy to hear our answer." The transmission that followed became legendary throughout known space. Admiral Lewis spoke clearly and calmly, but his words carried the weight of absolute determination. To the hegemony of Tulkar, and any other species, considering hostile action against humanity, we are the human race. We do not pay tribute. We do not bow to threats. We do not surrender to bullies. Lewis paused for a moment before continuing. "If you wish to test our resolve, you will find us ready. But be warned that attacking humanity has consequences. We will hunt you across the galaxy. We will learn from every encounter. We will never stop until justice is served." The Tulkar leadership had been monitoring human communications during the war with the Zephyrians. They had seen recordings of human ships ramming alien vessels rather than surrendering. They had watched humans sacrifice themselves to protect civilians and gather intelligence. Most importantly, they had observed the systematic destruction of an empire that had seemed unbeatable. Within days of Lewis's transmission, the Tulkar sent a very different message to Earth. "The hegemony of Tulkar apologizes for any misunderstanding. We wish only peaceful relations with the human species." Former Supreme Admiral Vextel, now serving as a historical advisor to the Human Zephyrian Reconciliation Council, was tasked with updating the galactic database with information about humanity. His entry would serve as a warning to other species, considering hostile action. Species designation human, Vextel, dictated to his human assistant. Origin Sol System, third planet. Population approximately 8 billion. Technology level advanced, incorporating hybrid designs from multiple alien sources. He paused, thinking about everything he had witnessed during the war. Threat assessment maximum level. Recommended action: avoid all hostile contact. These beings will hunt aggressive species across the galaxy. Learn from every encounter, and never cease pursuit until justice is achieved. Vextel continued his report, wanting to make sure future alien leaders understood what they would face if they chose to threaten humanity. Humans do not fight for conquest or glory. They fight for justice and protection of innocent life. They are not conquerors seeking expansion. They are consequences seeking balance. The final entry in his report summarized everything the Zephyrian Empire had learned about humanity through painful experience. Warning to all species: humans possess unlimited patience, unlimited determination, and unlimited memory. They will remember every crime committed against them or their allies. They will pursue justice across any distance and through any obstacle. Attacking humanity is not an act of war, it is an act of suicide. Captain Daniel Rodriguez patrolled the Outer Rim aboard the exploration vessel Horizon's Edge when he received a distress call from an unknown alien species. Rodriguez was a veteran of the Zephyrian War who now served with the Human Interstellar Patrol Service. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from the Altair system," reported his communications officer, Lieutenant Karen Walsh. "An unknown species is under attack by what appears to be a pirate fleet." Rodriguez's first officer, Commander Marie Anderson, looked at the tactical display. "Sir, the pirates are using modified Zephyrian technology, probably salvage dealers who have been raiding shipping lanes." Rodriguez nodded grimly. Even though the Zephyrian Empire had been defeated, criminal groups throughout the galaxy still used their abandoned technology for piracy and terrorism. The Human Patrol Service had been created specifically to deal with these continuing threats. "Set course for Altair system, Maximum speed, Rodriguez ordered. Time to remind some pirates that attacking innocent civilians has consequences. As the horizon's edge accelerated toward the distress signal, Rodriguez reflected on how much the galaxy had changed since humanity first encountered the Zephyrians. Other species now looked to human forces for protection against pirates and aggressors. The humans had become the galaxy's unofficial peacekeepers, through the simple promise that evil actions would be punished. The message was clear to every species in known space. Humanity would protect the innocent, hunt down the guilty, and never stop seeking justice. They had proven that determination and moral purpose were more powerful than superior technology or numbers. Any species that chose to threaten peaceful civilizations would face the consequences of human justice.